At Rodnia Academy of Magic, aspiring students are currently taking their written entrance exams. After the exam, Effa and Seika discuss the test outside the classroom. Effa admits to Seika that she thinks she missed a lot of questions. Seika advises Effa that she could make up for it in the practical exams since Effa didn't really have time to prepare for the written part. While they are talking, Seika glimpses Amu passing by the hallway with a sword on her hip. He remembers how Amu amazes everyone at the registration booth, boasting about being a 4 elemental. Seika smiles and wonders if Amu is also good at using her sword for the practical exam. The aspiring students head outside, where stone blocks are prepared for them. The stone blocks act as their targets so the teachers can observe their magical affinities. There are different stone blocks for fire, earth, water, wind, light, and dark, and the students can try as many as they can. After the teacher's explanation, the applicants one by one demonstrate their skills. Some use fire magic, others use fire stone magic, and some applicants demonstrate water magic. Seika observes that the other applicants only demonstrate one element, and most of them show mediocre results. When it's Effa's turn, Seika wishes her good luck as she nervously steps toward the stones. Effa stands in front of the stone block for fire, and fire spirits gather around her. She uses the spell Flame Note, which summons a tornado of fire hurtling toward the stone. The other applicants and the instructor are surprised by her prowess. She was able to use intermediate magic, and she didn't even chant to use it. The instructor looks worriedly at the fire-resistant stone block, which is now smoldering from Effa's magic. Effa asks permission to go to the next target and shyly stands in front of the stone block for wind magic. Now even Seika is surprised that Effa didn't stop at just one element. Effa points her wand at the stone and sends green lances of wind toward it. The lances puncture the stone, leaving gaping holes behind, and a particularly strong lance destroys the whole stone altogether. The slack-jawed applicants watch, shocked that she once again uses intermediate magic without any incantations. One kid worries that the target is now gone, but the instructor reassures them that there are spare targets. She announces that she's done and goes back to the group. She shyly asks Seika how she did, and Seika happily tells her that she was amazing. She didn't just use fire, but she was also able to use wind. Now Effa admits to him that she practiced on her own in hopes of surprising Seika. After Effa, it's now Seika's turn to take the practical exams. When he stands before the stone blocks, the other applicants start to gossip about why he's even trying when he doesn't even have mana in the first place. As such, they are surprised when Seika summons a blue fireball that promptly shoots and explodes at the target. The instructor once again worries for the targets since the blue flame still isn't going out. Meanwhile, Seika moves to the stone block for earth magic. He recognizes that the stone is probably granite, so he uses his understanding of science to cast his magic, transforming it into yellow crystal-like columns that obliterate the stone block. The instructor asks him what magic he used, but Seika just apologizes and heads to the next stone block for water magic. He can't tell them that the yellow columns are pyrite crystals. Putting metal and earth energy into a granite target would cause them to crystallize and break the stone. At the next stone block, Seika uses a talisman to summon a torrent of water crashing toward the target, which immediately turns into ice, freezing the whole block. He then walks back to the surprised applicants and tells the instructor he's done. Now Effa asks him why he won't do the other elements, but he just answers that he can't do the others yet. Wind wasn't in his 5 elements, and he doesn't yet know how light and dark magic works. Later that afternoon, the instructor stares in wonder at the conditions of the stone blocks after the practical exam. Another instructor arrives and asks him how the practical exams went, and he replies that it was a real pain with so many things that went wrong. The other instructor reveals to him the mana levels of the applicants. Effa should barely be able to use magic, while Seika had no mana to speak of. The instructor finds it hard to believe, but he isn't surprised anymore since another applicant was even more impressive than either of them. Amu was able to destroy all 5 of the elemental stone blocks, the first examinee in Academy history to achieve such a feat. The two teachers wonder if Amu might be the hero from the legends, the one born among the humans when the Devil King revives. The next day, the names of the applicants who passed the entrance exam are posted, and Seika and Effa go to take a look at the list. Seika finds his name ranked 3rd among the applicants, which surprises him since he thought he had aced the written test. He then checks the 2nd and 1st place. To their surprise, Effa placed 2nd. Seika can't believe he lost to Effa in the practicals. Meanwhile, the 1st place was held by Amu, which didn't surprise Seika. Seika smiles since he already found the one he's going to use in his plans. A day after the results were announced, acceptance letters arrived for Seika and Effa. Therefore, the two are now allowed to enroll in the academy. They enter the academy on the day of the entrance ceremony, wearing their new uniforms. Effa shyly asks Seika if her skirt is too short, and Seika blushingly reassures her it isn't. Since they would now be living in the dormitories, Seika wonders if they would let her enter the men's dorm, but Seika doubts it. This worries Effa since she couldn't be in attendance. However, Seika explains to her that from today onward, they are both simply students at the academy. Seika then notices something in the nearby forest and asks Effa if she can sense any spirits. Effa informs him that she sees little dark spirits, and there are a lot of them. The two enter the forest, and Seika finds the probable cause of the dark spirits, a large magic circle drawn on the forest grounds. Effa observes that the magic circle somehow feels wrong, and Seika agrees. She asks what they should do, but Seika points out it's probably the academy's magic circle, so they shouldn't mess with it. He then invites Effa to continue on to the auditorium. Meanwhile, Seika sneakily releases a few of his talismans, which promptly fly away and surround the magic circle. Later that night, a buffet party is being held for the new students of the academy. There are numerous foods laid out for the students, and Seika immediately starts eating. He also advises Effa to start eating herself. They then see Amu enter the stage to give the commencement speech. Amu confidently introduces herself to everyone and exclaims that her goal in entering the academy is to get stronger. At that same moment, Seika senses through his talismans that the magic circle they found outside has activated. He can feel them getting nearer, and true enough, the door suddenly explodes. When the dust settles, a group of lesser devils appears to have breached the building. The students immediately run away in fear, while the instructors shoot at the devils with various magic spells. Seika notices that the lesser devils are looking for something, and the spells of the instructors aren't really damaging them. One devil is about to kill an instructor, and Seika readies a talisman to save her. Before he can save her, a sword suddenly slices the devil's hand, causing it to roar in pain. Amu had managed to wound the devil. The lesser devil attacks Amu with his mace, but Amu dodges and counters with a barrage of wind lances. She then yells at the other students to get out of the way if they can't help. Meanwhile, Seika notices something is off about the monsters. Their attacks are so slow that Seika wonders if they are a diversion or a scouting party. Using the other talismans he released earlier, he surveys the different parts of the school by the magic circle. He finally sees the caster. Seika then warns Effa to use magic to escape if she's ever in danger. A rumble shakes the school, and when Effa opens her eyes, Seika is gone. Outside the school, Seika slowly approaches the large demon near the magic circle while reciting a poem. The poem is about meeting an inhuman being in the middle of the night, which perfectly captures Seika's mood. The large demon asks him what a human child is doing outside and says he is a fool for challenging him alone. However, Seika tells him that he just wants to play. The large demon summons 3 lesser demons and orders them to attack Seika. Using his talismans, Seika banishes 2 of the lesser demons and captures the other one, teleporting it to another dimension for safekeeping. The large demon is surprised that Seika knows teleportation magic and recognizes Seika as a worthy opponent. He decides to fight Seika himself and summons multiple magic circles with swords emerging from them. The large demon introduces himself as Galgalius, a metal devil capable of commanding flame and earth. Seika throws his talismans at him, but Gal easily burns them away. Seika is surprised that Gal can even see his talismans, which should have been invisible. He throws a couple of fireballs at Gal, but Gal blocks them all with his metal swords. Gal then attacks with his sword, but Seika easily dodges the slow projectile. Then, out of nowhere, Gal teleports the sword, forcing Seika to dodge, but his cheek still gets wounded. Gal then throws some lava at Seika, who has to jump to avoid it. Gal immediately teleports behind Seika and slices at him, cutting off his arm. Seika leisurely asks Gal what he's looking for, and Gal reveals that he's looking for the hero. Gal also divulges that he had received an oracle 12 years ago proclaiming the revival of the Demon Lord and the return of the hero. Moreover, he found the hero using his lesser devils, the red-haired girl who wields extraordinary power. Seika realizes Gal was talking about Amu. Meanwhile, Gal once again sends his swords at Seika, and when he jumps to dodge them, he slices at him, beheading Seika. Gal thanks him for the entertaining fight and walks away. Before he can go far, however, Seika appears again, singing another poem. Gal asks him how he's still alive and throws a sword at him, impaling his head. However, the sword vanishes, and Seika reveals to him that he uses revival spells and can eliminate any foreign objects. Gao tries attacking Seika again, but Seika uses a water spell, flooding the whole forest. The wet Gao teleports above Seika and attacks, but Seika summons a thunder beast, electrocuting Gao. However, Gao teleports behind Seika and impales him with his fist. Seika just smiles and touches his arm, making it explode, and Seika teleports away. He starts lecturing Gao about the atomic properties of metal, but Gao claims he can still fight since Seika is probably running low on talismans. Seika just smiles and summons all his talismans, flying throughout the battlefield. He then declares that he'll summon a minion to finally get rid of Gao. Seika summons Mizuchi, a Chinese dragon, and Gao can only shriek in fear that even the Devil King has no dragons that large. Seika explains that it's not a dragon but a worm and sends Mizuchi to attack Gao. Mizuchi easily captures Gao in his jaws and, in one bite, kills him. Afterward, the flying dragon immediately tries to run away, forcing Seika to use his talismans to guide it back into another dimension. After the battle, Yuki arrives and hugs Seika, who confesses that she hid since she felt like she couldn't help during the battle. Yuki asks him if it was a good idea to use his body double dolls during the fight, but Seika admits he expected to die 3 or 4 times before defeating Gao. Seika heads back to the party and finds the students resting from their wounds. Etho reports to him that all the lesser devils were slain by Amu all on her own, earning both the admiration and fear of her classmates. Seika thinks to himself that in his past life, being the strongest just ended with him dying. Therefore, in this life, he would instead train someone else to be the strongest in his place. That way, he can just relax and enjoy his life. And he decides that Amu will be the one who will be the strongest. If she dies, he'll surely mourn her, but Seika